Our sponsors for this episode are Hall's Tree Service. Locally owned and operated, Hall's Tree Service has been exceeding and surpassing customer demands in Newton and the surrounding area for over 40 years. Larry and his crew are guaranteed to work hard for you. There's no tree too tall, no job too small. Call Hall's at 316-772-1919. Remember, there's no tree too tall, no job too small. Call Hall's at 316-772-1919. Shamrock Car Wash. Shamrock Car Wash has 3 convenient locations in Newton, Wichita, and Mays. They were also voted Best Car Wash in Harvey County for 2024. Shamrock Car Wash offers your traditional hands-on wash bays, but also touts an in-bay touch-free wash and dry for an effortless clean. Make sure to look them up and follow them on Facebook at Shamrock Car Wash. That's Shamrock Car Wash. Or you can visit them online at theshamrockcarwash.com. That's theshamrockcarwash.com. Is your AC or heating system just not keeping up? Maybe it's not keeping your home or business as cold or hot as it once did. It could also be that all you're looking for is a reliable, trustworthy, and affordable technician to check on your system and do whatever maintenance necessary to ensure it's working as efficiently and effectively as possible. If so, give Air Quality Control a call at 316-285-3304. That's Air Quality Control, 316-285-3304 for all your air quality control needs. Well, hello, everybody, and hello, Andy and Chad. How was your guys' week this week, Chad? And we haven't seen Andy in a minute, so we got a lot of catching up to do.
2 weeks for Andy.
Yeah, we let the rumors fly, I'm sure. They thought we
were fighting over Trump.
The whole thing just blew up. Andy doesn't want to be on the program anymore because of something that Lance said.
That's right.
Chad, he's not going to be. It was something Chad said. Chad and his liberal views and Andy's too conservative. Oh, I'm sure we were at least a little bit of the talk of the town. But, we didn't hear it because we would be the 6th person down the line to hear that. We were talking about that last
All the political chats that we do.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't do that. You're not allowed to do that and still remain friends with people or to see people's perspective or somebody else's view and it not be challenging to your worldview and dynamic, right?
Never.
Okay, so Andy, where the hell were you for the last 2 weeks?
Planes, trains, and automobiles, man. So been out hitting the streets and doing what I do and floating our business out there to different opportunities and seeing family and friends and eating really good, the best Tex-Mex in Texas, which is in San Antonio. And in my neighborhood, I'm a little biased. We have some of the best places in my neighborhood. And some of them you have to speak Spanish only to order. So
yeah, I'd be screwed. I was going to say, I told everybody
they got
that
pictures. You just point at the picture.
That looks good.
I'm exaggerating, sort of.
Well, I told everybody that you went to Hawaii and that you're an islander.
There you go.
So they don't know. Yeah. I mean, whatever. You just like Texas, right? It's not because you're from there.
I love Texas.
Yes. God bless Texas with his own hand. Yeah. That song.
My 2 favorite states, Kansas and Texas.
Kansas is kind of North Texas anyway. I mean, not very much land bridge there with the panhandle.
I love our culture here. I've grown up here in my adult life, right, in Kansas, but Texas will always be home. But after I'm there for a while, we were, I think, the 6th largest city in the United States when I left San Antonio, and we didn't know better. When you grow up like that, you don't know. And then when I came to Newton, I was like, holy cow, this is a small place and it's so different. It was almost shocking to me. It was a culture shock for sure. But going back, I'm there for a while and I've acclimated to be here. So, I've been here longer than I was there. Yeah. And I'm going, man, I kind of miss Kansas after 5 or 6 days. The traffic and the timing and the way you have to adjust your life to live in the city is different.
Yeah, we're kind of in a sweet spot. I think we're in a sweet spot.
I really like it.
We got the largest metropolitan area, just 20-minute drive away. We can have all those amenities and everything really that there is to offer in Kansas. And then we're just, we're a small city, so we even have amenities here. We're not really a small town. I mean, you go out to western Kansas, and it's an hour to get to like a Walmart in some places. So, I mean, you're not battling that, right? It's all right here. Chad, week. How was that week this week, Chad?
It was a week.
It was a week.
It was a week.
Busy. I know you were busy.
So we pushed the limits of all the electric lawnmowers that we have access to this week, and found out that I got a neighbor who's there's just no doing his yard in one time. It ain't happening. It's not even going to happen with back-to-back
Batteries.
tries on a weekend. It's going to take 2, 3, 4 times through there, and those batteries can take a while to recharge. So
yeah.
How long did it
was
last?
a week. His is not lasting nearly as long as it should be, so I'm a little concerned.
The battery's going bad.
Time for a new battery.
Yeah,
Cost as much as the mower.
almost. I mean, I hate to trot Walmart out into the world, but if you go down to Wally's and you take a look at their battery opt mowers, you can get one for around $350, but that battery itself is $200.
Yeah. That's just with drills too, because because I've oftentimes, when it comes time to like the batteries going dead on a drill, well, you can go find a drill battery combo for just a little bit over what it would cost to replace a battery. So I mean, it's like, well, I got a couple drills I haven't even touched yet. I don't know why I do that, but at least I'll have it. Eventually, one of these days, I'm gonna have to go do a battery run. Just buy batteries.
I wonder how that maths out, because you're not buying gas, but you're still charging, so you got some money going into that, and it's not crazy, right? But over time, when you have to replace a battery, because the rest of the mower is pretty much good, it's just hardware.
Yeah.
I wonder what the math is on that, and how much we're saving versus spending, and then you got the other climate control math too, right? Like, how much does that battery take to make, and how much dirt are we moving to do that fuel to uproot that? So there's all these little formulas. I know I'm crazy, but that's how I see the world.
And then you can even get into, well, what's government subsidized and what's not. So if you have a company that they're trying to transition over to, like, let's say, give subsidies or incentives to push electric products, then they're going to get a kickback. And that might be going into what takes the overall cost of whatever you're buying down.
So what you're saying is the battery place in Halstead, the storage unit.
Oh, we're going to get into that.
Don't go there, man.
We are going to go there this
Four-wheel
week.
drive. Let's go.
Very real phone.
Does that reduce our cost because we have closer access, or does that make our costs go up?
You're going to get the rumor mill started.
Very real phone call. I called down to Halstead City Hall yesterday, and they picked up, and I said, "This is Chad Fry up at the Newton, Kansan. I wanted to just chit-chat a little bit about the city council meeting
and
that
you're
was
calling
last
with your
night."
official your journalism hat.
Yes, and
okay.
this is exactly how the call went down, because I said, this is Chad Fry at the Newton, Kansan. I need to talk to somebody about the city council meeting that occurred last night. And I heard audibly on the other side of the phone. And I said, but I don't want to talk about what everybody else is probably talking about with you guys this morning. Oh. I was told that you guys are going to revisit your fireworks stuff. Is there somebody who could tell me what happened with the fireworks stuff?
Oh, gladly.
Oh, yeah, we'd love to.
When you got some point of contention, I tell you.
So, that's
we've all been there.
Yeah, and I gotta tell you, I love those ladies down there at the Halstead City Hall. They're great. They're wonderful.
Well, Halstead's got a wonderful city staff. I mean, when you take into consideration Ethan and their clerk and just the people that are really working hard for the people of Halstead, they need to be applauded.
They do.
I mean, they're a small community, but they don't have a lot of staffing, which means that they all wear a lot of different hats when it comes to staffing. And great people, always been very accommodating. I just can't speak highly enough of them. Okay, before we get into any drama, because that's coming soon, right? Because we will be talking about the Halstead City Council meeting.
I want to start it today.
But I want to do the upcoming events. We've had a lot of people talk about the fact that they really like that we do it. And I said, even when I butcher it, because I've butchered it every single time since we've started this at somewhere or another. If it's not Dyke Arboretum, it's Dick Arboretum and everything else. So I thought I'd bring that up again.
That's a double bad. Depending on how you're going to look at this stuff.
No wonder we've been getting canceled this
Chad's
week.
like, shut up.
Chad's got his professional hat on right now. Okay, so this comes from the Kansan. Starting June 26th at 2:30. There's a day camp at Grace Community Church, 1600 South Anderson. Suggested donation for the production is $2. Letters from the home front. Once again, that's 1600 South Anderson. Tickets are $4.
So I'm going to jump in.
Have at it.
That right there is going to be actors who are 11 and under.
Okay.
And that production, letters, I believe it's letters from the afternoon one. The afternoon one was actually written by a local woman, a local playwright. So
very cool, very cool. So that's got even more hometown
They're going to stage it twice. First one is right there at 2:30 on Thursday. Go enjoy.
And then, of course, the 27th at 6:15 p.m., just another day at camp, Grace Community Church, 1600 South Anderson. Once again, the suggested donation for production is $2. And then at 7 p.m., that's the second one that you're talking about, Chad. Letters from the home front. Tickets are $4. There's also, on the 27th, from 7 to 9 p.m., live music, Borderline Natives, Military Park. That's free.
Featuring Newton native Seth Bontrager.
Yeah, so get out there. I mean, it's a free concert. I'm hopeful for good weather that day. It's cool to see somebody that's out. I mean, the guy lives in Nashville, and he plays for bands, so he's got to be at least decent. Yeah.
Hey, I'm one of the privileged few that got to watch this kid hang out in church and play at churches. All
amazing.
So artistic ability there.
Mm-hmm. His dad's pretty talented too.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I really appreciate Greg so if you didn't get a chance to see that Greg Bontrager interview, North Newton Community Foundation Associate Director podcast, check that out. Wonderful man. Would have never thought that when I was listening to his life story that he had such a musical background, taught for 30 years music, and then made the transition over, we would call it in retirement, to doing something that is so transferable to reach out in the community and be able to just benefit everybody in Newton and North Newton with what's going on with the Community Foundation and the Patterson Foundation. Is that correct, Chad?
I believe so.
Okay. So then the 28th, 8 a.m. to noon, Harvey County Farmers Market, 301 North Main Street. If you haven't got a chance, get out to the Farmers Market. Later that night, 8 p.m., live music, Flatland at Moxie Community Pub, 1420 Old Main Street. June 29th, 7 p.m. is Trivia Night at Acapulco Restaurant, 217 West Broadway Street. June 30th at 5:30 p.m., Mental Health Town Hall hosted by the Association of Community Mental Health Centers of Kansas and Prairie View Behavioral Health at Prairie View, 1901 East 1st Street. July 4th, everybody loves the 4th, Independence Day. 8 p.m. Fireworks Extravaganza, Kidron Bethel Village, 3001 Ivy Drive, North Newton. July 5th, 7 to 8 a.m. First Saturday Birdwalk, Kaufman Museum, 27th in Main, North Newton. Then yours truly's birthday, and I'll stop there. July 12th, 10 a.m. to noon. Second Saturday at the Gallery, Carriage Factory Gallery, 128 East 6. Themed make and take creations will be provided every second Saturday through the year for ages 4 to 10. This event is free and open to the public. So what's going on at the Kansan, Chad?
Wow.
I've been reading. You got some stuff in there. You got some stuff in there that I know
you're saying there's stuff going on.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that I think people, when they do have talked about showing appreciation for what us putting this out, and then Chad, obviously with the Kansan putting it out, because it's as simple as just calling Chad or sending Chad an email and saying, hey, we got this going on. Can you put us in there? I don't think there's any cost to that for people.
Nope.
So, I mean, when you look at what we're doing and what's going on in the community, there is so much. So much.
Are you saying if you can't find anything to do, you're just choosing not to engage?
You're not looking.
Wow.
There's something for everybody in that.
Maybe I should look at myself and change if I'm complaining about nothing to do.
If you need something to do, go down to Dillon's, buy a Newton Kansan, turn open to page 2 any day. Any publication.
Now, could I pick it up off of the shelf and just look at page 2 real quick and put it back?
Yeah, you could, but I would really prefer you buy one.
I mean, I don't know. When I see something I like, I just take a picture. I just go in
Harvey County hack.
Yeah, go into Dillon's and just take 5 or 6
You're gonna have a whole line of people. Page 1's gonna have all fingerprints on it. The first one on the top.
Oh, you gotta love it.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, the information's out there, and while I would
But you
love
could
it,
get this online.
Yeah, for next to nothing.
And what is the monthly cost? Like I'm on that
$7.
And even if I signed up the free thing, don't I get a certain amount of access?
Yeah, if you sign up for the free one, you could, for example, you could check this calendar about 3 times in the month.
You see, I mean, even just that to start
Sign
off
up
with,
for free,
right?
Yeah, that
well, just get in the door. I mean, to see the offerings,
or and you want to hack. Here's the hack.
Don't say it. Don't do
Okay.
it.
he's gonna give us the key.
Okay. So if you sign up for the free one, right, you get 3. What it means is you get 3 articles, right? 3 different pieces. So, for example, I'm just gonna kind of throw it out there. Like this weekend, you could read the profiles on the athletes of the year.
Yeah.
There's a good one.
And if you're wondering what to do with your calendar time, you could, in order to save your free ones for something that you might want, like, I don't know, all of the fireworks times and dates for the county. Maybe you want to be able to see that whole thing. You can just take a look at the calendar page, because I always try and post a photo of something. And you'll be able to read the cut line caption of that photo and find out, for example, I don't know what the photo is coming, probably Flatland. Nope, second Saturday. You would find out that second Saturday is the 12th, and you could make a mental note to sign your kids up, right?
Yeah, or send
but
me
then
a birthday card.
Then you've been able to read about the. I'm going to say this again. You're going to be able to read about the athletes of the year this weekend.
Yeah, love it.
And I'm not tipping anything else other than that, just so you know.
Athletes.
I'm
picking up something here.
We have a male and a female athlete of the year. And so, yeah, so there right there is some things that are going on in the Kansan. And of course, you know, I did one of my probably least favorite things to do in life on Monday and Tuesday again, and that was to sit through a governmental meeting.
Yeah, there was a lot of this. I watched a lot of this.
And straight up for by Tuesday night for the city commission meeting, I don't know what the heck was going on, but I was sick. I was just flat out sick.
Well, and for people that can't
but
make it in person,
I sat through it, and I absorbed it, and I wrote about it, and I wrote 2 stories last night, early this morning. I wrote 2 stories out of the city commission. I'm going to write another one that's going to pop on Saturday, I think, because I think the information that came out about Newton Public Library is significant, cool, and it needs to be looked at.
And okay, speaking of like all that, wrapping that in one, folks, it's literally $7 a month. You get 12 papers online subscription. Okay, that is next to nothing, and that is a great way to stay informed. It's a great way to support your local paper. It's a great way to support your journalists like Mr. Chad Fry over here. They got to pay the bills too. So I can't think or imagine, and I'm not made of money, folks, okay, but $7 a month is not going to make me or break me. And it takes about 15 minutes to get online and to put in your email address, put in a way to pay, and I don't really,
you could access your paper from anywhere on your phone.
Yeah, or
as
any
soon
device.
As it comes out. Here's another thing. Can you put the link on? Can we start putting that link so people can just hook up to it?
It's the Kansan.com.
Right.
But I will
Just put
start
the
doing
link
that.
on
I'll
there.
start throwing that
and
in
it
there. at
would
the
be
bottom.
really cool if they could see our podcast on there too. I'm just saying, but we'll see what happens with that in the
Sometimes
future.
we get some love from
Well,
it.
now, yeah. It basically
Only if it benefits Chad.
No. It's if Chad's got time to make the music happen, right? So,
I'm just
yeah.
teasing.
So
right.
current top headline at Kansan.com is Board of Ed eyes spring bond issue.
Thanks a lot.
Oh, we're going
Putting
to
us
talk
on
about
front
that on the
page.
prog.
Oh, are we?
Yes, we are.
Okay,
Yes,
all right.
yes. So we do got to keep going
So,
because we got big
I mean,
topics.
What
and
hat do I
straight
wear?
up-
Do I wear my community hat, my dad hat, my school board member hat?
I was actually
so I just
talking to
mix it
Chad.
all up and see what comes out.
Yeah, but I was talking to Chad secretly, and I said I'm going to throw this on to Andy.
So yeah,
the board member.
Here's,
Bring it on. Bring it on.
here's headline number 2.
And I do have a message for my vote no people that I love to death because I need to hear their objections. I want to meet them where they're at, and then I want to understand what their objections will be. And to be real transparent, one, I want to overcome them if I can.
Yeah.
And two, I still want to hear what they're concerned about. So when we're moving through this process, we can do it with care for everybody, especially those people who will be pushing back against us. I don't want to run from it. I want to meet them where they're at and meet them in the middle and figure out what they need from me to understand that we're trying to do the best we can. And I may learn some things from them that are blind spots for me because I am in the system and I am fully committed, that can help us evaluate things differently. So just know that if you're out there, vote no committee, come in, send up some messages already, and I'm looking forward to that conversation.
So headline number 2.
Yep.
Oh, I lost it. And yes, I absolutely have to look because my brain is, by this time of the week, my brain can get kind of mushy.
When you're already kind of on to the next topics.
Demo of Old Dylan's delayed. Again.
I thought I just read something.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
You're
And
surprised.
honestly, the headline,
You're surprised.
I am a little surprised.
Really? That shocks me.
Yeah, I am a little surprised because what happened is not something I expected at city level, but it's not a big deal. I mean, what's 2 weeks in 10 years? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
There's times I go to
True.
Chad and I tell him something, and he gives me this look he gives me, like, are you freaking kidding me? I thought you were smarter than that. And I already know what it is just by looking at him now, and I'm going, oh, yeah, why am I surprised? He's not surprised, so I'm kind of taken aback a little bit.
So yeah, I
anytime
mean,
Chad's surprised with his Chad GPT.
Chad GPT.
Wealth of all things local.
And
Knowledge
let's see. Oh, and the other headline that I put out this morning is the city declared an official Mexam tournament weekend. It's a citywide official weekend.
That's
and
cool.
I think that is super cool.
It's appropriate, a weekend.
And straight up,
Absolutely.
it's 77 years overdue. So
Is that 180
yes,
days?
you know,
Yeah.
it's that is so awesome because that tournament's just around the corner and
Yeah.
it's like the coolest thing since buttered bread.
Well, and we're hoping
So.
to get somebody on. We're working out schedules, try to get somebody on to talk about that program.
I was asked about that last night and I was like, I don't do the bookings.
Yeah.
So
So I reached out
Yeah.
and hopefully, that we'll have somebody out here. I followed this. It started with the Newton Mexican. We got to move on, but for people that are listening, right? It started with having Mr. Jaso come on with the Newton Mexican American fast pitch baseball. Now it's fast pitch softball, obviously tournament. But 2 years ago, because it was for their 75th anniversary, and then from there, it turned into being reached out to by individuals that were documenting the history of this. And then from there, it turned into who the main author, the professor that was responsible for just really going through on an academic level and trying to capture all this. And then it turned a documentary film. I mean, and then I've even had more people reach out from different areas around the United States that want to say, hey, I saw this. I'm in Kansas City, and I want to come on the program if you'll have me to talk about what's going on in Kansas City. And it's just like, okay, I'll do my best, but there is a fine line with what we try to do, which is to keep things rather local, right? So it just is interesting to find out that there's not as much access to platforms like what we provide access to a platform in across the United States, to be real honest with you. Okay, so Sand Creek Summer Days, right? Did you guys go to the Sand Creek Summer Days? At least one part of it?
I went to 2 pieces of it. I went to the kickball, which I think is becoming my favorite event, to see the families playing and the kids hanging out and the different not-for-profits being vendors to our community and getting their needs met. And I had a lemonade that was fantastic. And then the beer garden was tucked in the back. Everybody was responsible. I saw nobody crazy drunk. The game was fun, and it was light. The police department took a fall again, so the fire department has the trophy again.
My boys in blue let me down.
They let you down, and I'm gonna say it was pretty bad, but no.
but straight up, guys, if that's the only way you let me down, and if that's the only way you let me down during a year, I'm okay.
I made the fireworks for that. I did not make the kickball game. I couldn't, but I did the year before, and I was really interested in, well, how did that turn out? How many people showed up? Talked to Andy about that. There was a great crowd there. I'm sure there's positive energy there. That whole thing, I hope, just continues to be a staple of the Sand Creek Summer Daze Festival. But I did happen to get up there to see the fireworks, and I got to say that was a knocked it out of the park fireworks show. And for those that were in there watching the fireworks show, you have no idea how many people showed up to watch the fireworks show. There was people parked all the way around the place. There had to have been at least 200 people outside of that just showed up, parked to watch the fireworks display, and then they were out.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So that event was cool. Fireworks show capped it off, and I was with a bunch of people that I love tremendously from our community that I've spent time with, and it was really cool. And then I went to the concert, which I will say just transparently, I was disappointed. Everything was great. Saturday night.
Yeah, I did too.
The environment was good. The weather was perfect.
Yeah.
There was vendors there. I wanted to see more of our people show up. I just felt like numbers were down, and you can't really put that on any one person. It's just schedules, and people aren't making things priority. And you will hear people say they didn't see anything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do you not? I saw it everywhere.
Well, I mean,
calling
that's
all
also,
cars, I saw it everywhere.
In your vein, right? Because we all know how algorithms work.
Yes, very true.
And if you've liked and followed the Sand Creek Summer Days, when they start putting stuff out and you're looking at it, it's going to put it up in front of you.
Yeah.
We didn't have the opportunity this year to do last couple of years we've done an interview with somebody. Scheduling just didn't work out, and that could have been another avenue, but I think it's still the same thing, right? Unless you're subscribing to a paper, unless you're following them on social media, then chances are you're just not going to see it. And I would say the same thing too. Okay,
he's going to blow up before his fuse goes off.
Look at Chad's getting red.
Sitting here.
What is that movie?
It's true. $6.99, and if you would pay that, not only would you have found out about the Sand Creek Summer Days, you would have had their complete calendar, complete schedule, and you would have run across your frickin' email about a half a dozen times over the course of 2 weeks before the event.
Well, I gotta say, I'm with Andy.
The free account would have helped.
Yeah, you could have.
Even the free one, yes!
I'm giving this away free.
I'm just saying.
Okay, but so then
I'm tired of this nonsense. I didn't see it. Oh my goodness,
it is freaking me out, though, because there is some Rubik's out there.
Yeah, you had people on social media that literally were wondering why in the heck fireworks are going off. I was completely unprepared for this, and it's like, I mean, I'm like you, Andy. Maybe it's because I've been involved, and I sit here and I see it, and I subscribe to the paper. I see it's going. But
how do we pull ourselves out of that, though, to understand where we're missing the boat on that? That's where I'm at. Look,
you mean how do we reach people?
We're neck deep.
You want to really go down the rabbit hole? There are members of our city commission that didn't really know there was going to be a fireworks show that night.
But they had to request permission for that to be the case.
That to me is.
But those permits, and they just passed a new ordinance and resolution about those types of permits, and they don't go in front of the commission.
But if you want,
it just goes through City Hall, and the person who spends the most time reviewing those is the fire marshal. So if he looks at your permit and he looks at all of your fallout plans and he looks at all of your stuff and he's good and he gives it the stamp, you're good to go.
You're good to go.
Yeah.
So, hey.
And you know what? It's not like we had fire issues. There's wind, but it was been so wet. You didn't have to worry about fires and drifting.
Yeah.
So those things weren't a big issue.
They weren't a risk.
Because I think those could have put up some barriers in the past. We've had time, like as windy as it was, if it was dry, our fire marshal would have pulled that.
Yeah.
And I will kind of step to some public folks' defense. Those that are like, I didn't know what was going on. This is the first time in almost 20 years we've had a public show.
Yeah.
But then you would think that more
was
people
beautiful,
would have
though.
perked up their ear to that. I got to say
You
this.
would,
Okay.
you would.
For people that are not informed.
But here's why I say that. It's first time in almost 20 years we've had this. Who was expecting it? Who would be?
They tell you never insult. They
The
tell you
people
never,
who would be expecting it are the ones who have read through the calendars and seen the information that came out about the festival. Those are the people who would be expecting the show.
I think we're going to collect a GoFundMe to do the biggest fireworks show in the history of Newton. Right outside here.
Right over Ortiz Lake.
I'm down.
Okay.
Bring your lawn chair.
To be continued.
Yes.
So
yes.
yeah, well, and you know,
I'll ask my neighbors if we can set up parking in the fields after we cut.
You
There
could
you
probably
go.
get every
There
bit
you
of
go.
300 cars.
now you're going to have to check with the county on your permitting because
I know a guy. Let's see what happens.
technically, wait.
Get people in trouble.
Okay, so here's this.
and they'll probably defer to the fire marshal in Newton. So might have to buy him an extra lunch one of these days.
In this offense-driven world, I apologize in advance for saying what I'm going to say because I in no way, shape, or form want to insult anybody or any of the audience or anything or anybody listening right now. But I have been around this long enough to know that there are people that go to great lengths to make being informed as accessible and as easy as possible. And the only thing that I can say is it's laziness, pure laziness on behalf of the person who is not informed. I just got to say it.
Judgy.
That was judgy.
I said it. Hate me on social media. Folks.
Keep them that way.
We'll just get online and say something bad about Lance. It's like, hey, you wouldn't be
Get
the
in
first.
line.
You wouldn't be the first. There's nothing you can say. Okay, so moving on. Speaking of being informed, speaking of it being as accessible as humanly possible, okay, the city of Newton provides a city commission meeting, all work sessions, all budget hearings, right? And now they're even doing this thing like a community talk type thing, okay, where they go out and they are just doing everything they can to be accessible to people so people can be informed. And right now, all of these different entities are going through their budget hearings, their budget works. And yes, when I'm watching these, even as delighted as I am to be informed about stuff that's going on, they do sometimes get a little dry, a little bit long. But the reality is I have a desire to want to be informed. And so then when something takes place, right? Well, let's say the mill needs to be raised or the mill is lowered, or what are they doing with your finances? If you go and you watch the most recent budget session hearing with the city, and I'm sure that Chad will have all of this documented in the Kansan, there's no reason why you don't know where the money's going, that the money's going. There's just no way. There's no way. So you need
Lance
to watch it.
Lance,
Yes, Chad.
I'm going to sum this whole thing up with a Facebook interaction from this last week. Okay? On my Chad Fry Reporter Facebook page, I posted a photo of the construction of the first fireworks tent in Newton. And in that post, I wrote, fireworks tents are going up.
I saw this.
Sales are going to start on the 27th. Discharge is from the 1st through the 4th. Had all the hours. And I think it might have been like the second person who responded was like, hey, can you post the hours, please?
What's the time, date, and hours of it? And then somebody
I am
commented,
going to be very, very thankful. I'm going to be very thankful
it's somebody
that it was not me who was able to, who came to my rescue, so to speak, and said, by the way, it's in the post.
That just tells you, though,
That gives you an eye into where we are.
Yes.
So when somebody says, "Oh, I didn't know there was going to be a fireworks show on Friday night," they may have looked at a calendar. They may even know that the festival was going on, but quite honestly, they didn't get deep enough into it. Or they skipped over it.
It's also another layer of that, and you may be alluding to this as well. I just want to make it plain, is that when people see these titles and these headlines, and Lance has spoken about this dozens of times, and I don't know if it lands or not, but that's a prime example of the content a lot of times with some of these outlets is not what's even there.
Yeah.
Right.
It's wild.
Yeah.
And people aren't looking past the headline.
Oh,
it's a scan and move world.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll give you a really wonderful example of that. It was something that popped up in one of my news feeds this morning. Okay, and the headline was, and I remember this really well because I got really angry about what went down. The headline was after Seattle game, Indiana Fever make Aaliyah Boston announcement. And I'm going, shit, are they going to trade her? They can't. She went off for 30 points last night. Okay? And yeah, the cash cow is Caitlin Clark, but Caitlin didn't score much last night. She had a hell of a lot of assists and they won. And when she's not scoring, that's what we need. I'm sitting here, I'm like getting heart palpitations. I'm going, they can't trade her. I click on it. The announcement was that they Twitter posted that 31 points was a scoring record for her. And I'm like, that's not an announcement.
And we don't do that
That's
here.
not an announcement.
We're not going to do that to you. See, that's the thing, is that I refuse just to get views to go down this path of clickbait.
Harvey County Digital will do it.
Imagine.
I'm just telling you, digital will do it.
Imagine.
Just be ready. No, but real quick to take responsibility on our side.
My frame of mind right now, what frame of mind I would be in right now, talking basketball, if I hadn't clicked it and read it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
In its entirety.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah. I wouldn't be all PO'd at the guy who wrote the headline. I'd still be stressing out over the destruction of my team.
So just for us, just a little shift in thinking, maybe it's our responsibility to start asking a question and then saying times below and leave it at that.
Yeah.
And the people that want that, they'll do their scan and they'll click, because it's just another way we have to learn how to anticipate how they're viewing us and how they're shopping us.
Yeah.
And so it's even a direct change for us to just go, okay, what are their patterns and why does it work for so many people? Well, they want to get their clicks. We don't need the clicks that they need to show their advertisers their numbers. Even though we're getting 125,000 hits across medias as of this month so far.
Well, that's just Facebook. Facebook, we're around 135,000 views, and then that doesn't include our TikTok, our YouTube, our YouTube
hundreds of
shorts.
thousands.
Pretty close to 250,000.
Okay, that's awesome.
Just don't make me start doing TikTok dances is all I
well,
ask.
we have to eventually. That's our next step.
Yes, our
here.
next step is to
I'm gonna
lure
do a
you
little
in
more
with the
weights
dance.
before we get into that.
No, that makes it even better.
I'll have to learn
Danny.
a couple of shuffles or something. I don't know.
The Mennonite shuffle.
I wonder. I was gonna go somewhere and say something provocative. Not gonna do it. Not
I'm
gonna
going to
do
need
it.
to buy some hats.
Okay. So we can kind of skip over this. I was going to talk about the USD 373 school board meeting, and we can go there, but where it goes back to this, folks. Okay, there was the last school board meeting. They had the firm that did the study to see where we were at with the reduction in students over the course of time, that then shows a projection for that to increase and what we should be doing, maybe what buildings we should be investing in, maybe where we need to, what's strategic, just a strategic plan for the future. And there was so much information there, Andy, that that once again, that's the starting block, right? That's where people need to start, is to listen to that, get that information, and then I'm going to kick it over to you, Andy, put you on the spot and say, what were some of the highlights about that? What did we learn? Like what was the core of what we learned?
Let me condense this down. So most of the people sitting at that table, if you're reading your notes that Fred sends us weekly and you read the overviews, and we went through a tour just before that and got more information. We had some of this stuff in our inboxes for a while. That was more, and I don't know how I feel about it, a public showing, because we want people to come along with us, right? You have to have that. That's why you guys put us in these positions that vote for us. I do want to break this down into, any of it wasn't a surprise to us. We've known the decrease in enrollment for a few years.
Forever.
Since COVID hit. We knew this was coming. Yeah. We've reduced the size, and we shut Walton down, which was tough for a lot of people, including us. But we had to do that. And I almost asked the question to them, given that you've dug into our district so deep, would it make sense for us to open another building right now in the elementary school level? And that's an obvious answer to that question. But then I was like, no, you're just going to be a jerk by doing that stuff. Let's not take it there. So I held back in that meeting, because now I'm just saying what I'm saying, right? And so thank you for giving me an opportunity to say it, because I've had a couple of phone conversations with people, and I'm like, these are the things I want to say, but I don't say it because I'm trying to watch our PR as well while we're there in that room. But there's another thing that I'm just going to be real straight with is the Cooper situation. I feel like we're walking around eggshells and we're not having those conversations all the way through, because that group and that building, nobody wants to change, and they want to protect theirs. And there's an interesting community that we are serving there, but that number's going to grow, and it should grow. So how do we grow that program in a way that has capacity? Because right now they're saying, well, it's a logistics issue, not really a capacity issue.
Yeah, because you're turning people away.
And I say, not really. Yeah. I think it is a capacity and a logistics issue, because if we move them to elementary schools and we get the right people, we're going to have more of an overload in people and staffing, because of the specialized care that takes and the way that's worked, that it's just a different formula. It doesn't mean but I think we can expand those offerings and actually bring more people into the fold. It's just, the problem is you're breaking up a little family that really does great work. Yeah. And that's hard for people. Mm-hmm. And it's hard for me to say this out loud, but that's what I'm thinking there. I'm thinking we're walking around eggshells, and we're going to kick this thing down the curb for 5 or 6 years when that group and population is going to grow. Yeah. And there's a lot of social reasons why. Yeah. And they're saying that's not our job. Bull crap, this is our future. Yeah. And we have to figure out a way to get our social, emotional needs met at a younger age, to help with these people and their families, to get them to us on the starting blocks where we can run them forward. Yes. And that's what that group is. They're doing great work. Yeah. And to expand that and to say we just have to have it like this because we don't like change, it frustrates me. Yeah. Because I understand why they're doing it. We've had a few years of hard. It's not our administration. Our board has been horrible. We've had to do some hard things. We haven't handled it well as a team, and we had to reap some issues, and now we got culture issues because of it. And we're still coming out of that. We are getting better, but we're not out of the gate. And I've been a part of some of that. So I'm sitting there thinking, should I even run again? Which I am, because I've talked to other people who are smarter than me and tell me, hey, we would appreciate if you would go one more time, right? But because I'm thinking, if I step out and a couple other people step out, maybe these culture issues will figure themselves out, and then another team can do what we can do to move it forward. Yeah. And I've thought about all this stuff, and I'm sitting there going, well, here's part of the stuff you can help fix by not saying what I wanted to say that night. And there was some questions asked, and I'm like, we're going towards a bond. Not a big secret that we're moving in that direction. We haven't made any firm decisions. We have a company that does and handles our books, who looks over what we do, who are the professionals in that manner, that's coming to give us a presentation at our next meeting. That's a big meeting for us. When we find out what those numbers are, given the direction of the superintendent and where he feels like we are, we're going to be able to make some moves. Until then, the rest of this is just theater. The questions asked, and it's like he already told us before we asked those questions what was going to happen.
Well, and the bad thing...
And that frustrates me. So, as an executive, and we wasted 30 minutes talking about something in that meeting that should have been put on the next meeting after we got our information.
Well, and this goes back to making decisions.
Sorry, I get frustrated.
Let me tell you how I sliced and diced that meeting last night. or Monday night.
Oh, crowd! It was Monday.
It was Monday night.
Yeah, it was, whew, I was like,
all right.
Was it last
So
night?
I walked out of there, and I'm gonna, mea culpas. I walked out of there. I had a really hard time paying attention.
Was it just data overload?
Really hard time.
Information overload?
Not for me.
Yeah, you know all the information.
There it is. I'm sitting there listening, going, I knew this, I knew this, I knew this, I know this. We've been through this. I've been through this for years. Come on, can we get somewhere? Okay? That's me. That's on me 100%. And then when they started getting into the survey results, which is something I hadn't heard before, I was already gone. I was out to lunch. All right? And I don't know if he was watching me or looking at me or whatever else, but by the time they got to that, I'm on my phone. I'm just like, I just need to go home. I just need to go home.
I was watching you the whole time.
It was
Chad.
it was
You were right there on
it was
camera.
it was just and then we find, and then after we get through that presentation, and I'm not going to say it was a waste of time, because there's people in the room that needed to hear every word of it. I'm just not one of them. Aside from the fact that I'm paid to. So then we finally get to the board conversation. I've been checked out of this meeting for an hour already. And because of already starting to feel not well, physically not well. When I said I was sick for the commission meeting on Tuesday, I mean it. So I'm starting to already feel not physically well. And all I can think about is how I just want to go home and go to bed. And that, my day started at 5 a.m. and I am done. And I'm trying to listen to Fred, and I'm trying to listen to the members of the board sitting at the table who are talking. And when I walked out, my brain was like, there's no way you can write anything. Can't be done. So I went home, and I'm like, okay, so do I listen to this whole thing again? No. Then I turn around and I have an insomniatic attack, and Tuesday rolls around and I got to race through a stupid county commission meeting. Okay. And the only thing that piqued my interest was that they're going to spend some $300,000 on new radios for first responders, which, you know what? You got to spend it. And by the way, that sounds like a lot of money, but it could have been a heck of a lot worse.
Yeah.
That's a great story that I got coming in. And so I get through that, and I'm like, now I'll do the board. Nope, I can't. Physically, I'm in decline. So I go home and I take a nap that was supposed to last 2 hours, but lasted 4. And then I got to get up and I got to get my butt over to the city commission for a meeting. And go through that whole exercise again of trying to make sure that you're paying attention. Get home from that, and I'm like, I can write this, I can write this. Thank God I asked Cameron for a copy of his notes, because I can write this and I can get this done. I can get this all wrapped up quick. So it was not until this morning at about 6:15, I was like, okay, do or die. Let's get this done. I sat down and I went, how do I slice and dice and get to what's really important from this meeting? And over and over and over again, I'm sitting there getting ready to write my lead, and it's like, we don't really know anything about this. We don't really know anything about this. There was nothing new. We don't really know what's going on. Because quite honestly, we don't. So, here's the slice and dice. This is what we learned on Monday night. We learned that Sjogren, and Fred, I know you struggle, but it's Sjogren, is going to show up and they are going to give the board some numbers. And those numbers are going to be, this is how much you can spend if you raise your mill levy this amount. They're going to start at a 0. And then they're going to go to 5, 10, 15, and 20 mills. and they're going to give the board numbers. And the board is going to have to take a look at those and say, this is where we're going to be. This is the maximum amount that we will spend. Folks, that's happening in July. That's when we're going to start actually learning what we're in for with this bond issue.
Well, and that's where that conversation should have waited.
That, yes,
and
until
those questions,
that conversation happens.
And we know
typical,
this, though.
Okay, this is typical.
And Fred said it pretty well. He's like, if you guys go with a zero, we're $0 million increase.
It takes us the direction we need to go.
There's probably no way we can budget $13 million for a pool and pool upgrades. It wouldn't be responsible.
Which needs to happen.
That's the conversation that's going to be had.
But see, all of this. Okay, now I got to say this. Okay, tie this all together here. Well, we just talked about how to be informed and why people should want to be informed, and that this, just as far as the school board is concerned, any government entity, the city, all this all together is doing what they're doing so they can be completely transparent. People can have all the information. Because although you know, Chad, that you've ran through this before, this might be the first time somebody's waking up to this,
yep.
Right?
And so I'm going to post the PDF of the report
Yeah.
at Kansan.com. If people
get it for free.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so
if people really want to see, if they want to see the source document of all of the discussion that occurred have at it. I'm going to give it to you.
But I got to say, okay, everything I just said, and this is the deal here. Us as community members who are either not as informed as we should be, not as informed as others, want to be informed, so do our best. Some that are highly informed. All of this, right, comes to a point in which there's the rubber meeting the road. And if you go over to the Halstead City Council most recent meeting where they discussed the Bess facility, what happened there was the Halstead City Council, just the quick on here. The Halstead City Council received the Planning and Zoning Board's recommendation when it came to Bess facilities. Okay. At that point in time, they're given the information, similar to what we're talking about with the school. They're providing all this information. So the minute that information was provided, council members did not have the ability to look over it, to study it, to research it. But there was a group of people that were very, very against ever moving forward with this Bess situation from the beginning. Okay, so no matter what, not all of the information was provided. It takes time to work through this process, but then there was a group of people that didn't even want to work through the process. They don't want to know, they don't want to hear it, they want to apply everything under the sun.
They want to ban.
They want to ban. Okay.
That's the ride or die for them. They want to ban.
And not saying anything against what took place. Then during the meeting, a council member said, well, I'm going to make a motion for an all-out ban of Bess in Halstead. Then it was seconded. Then it was voted by a majority of the council to just ban Bess in Halstead. So they banned it. Well, the mayor, with his ability to use exercises veto rights, vetoed it. Well, then the conversation became, well, we can't just go and ban all of Bess, because then that's going to mean that an individual in a residential situation is not allowed to have a battery storage facility, which is becoming quite popular, right? I know people that have them, right?
KG&E will come and put one in your house.
Okay, so then it's like, oh, wait a second. Well, I'm glad that this was vetoed and not just banned, because now all of a sudden everybody would be affected on a residential level. So then they decided, well, I want to ban everything commercial and industrial, right, that hooks up to a power grid. Well, then they tried to do that. It wound up passing, and then they were using terminology that wasn't necessarily adequate to use it, because they didn't do the study. They haven't researched the study yet. And then it turned into, once again, the mayor vetoing that and it not passing. So then no action was taken as far as that's concerned. But it was this, in my opinion, just kind of a frenzy, and it was based on a lack of research. Like, from the beginning, I've said, I understand people's right to stand up and say something. I have tried like hell to get as much information about what's going on and remained undecided. Yes, it's beneficial for an economic development prospect. I mean, the revenue that they were going to generate at the smallest level was going to be more or the same tax revenue that the 10 largest business paid in. So economic development, hey, you're checking the box, right? And it could be more, et cetera, all of that. But what got me is nobody wanted to let the process happen, to work through this process until they came to a point in time when all the information was there and they could make an informed and educated decision. And my fear is, Andy, coming back to the bond, that's going to be the same thing that happens. Is, well, I'm just going to vote no to any bond.
Yeah,
We don't need any money.
That's going to happen.
We've got enrollment down. You see it all the time. Oh, are our children, do our children have higher test scores than they did 10 years ago? And if they don't, then we're wasting our money. And everybody comes to all these just preemptive assumptions and then apply what I would consider skewed logic based upon all of these other things that have nothing to do with what we're talking about.
So there's a group think out there and I'm going to put these in my Andy numbers. So there's no foundation for these numbers, but 8531, being in the sales world, managing and looking at companies and all these other things that I've been able to do over my years. I can take you to the car wash business and how you look at that and investing in your equipment and why you don't wait to invest in your equipment. And then when you're ready to sell your properties, well, if you have to put a $225,000 piece of equipment in and you want to sell it for what it costs when that equipment is new, it's probably not going to work out well for you, right? And if you haven't been reporting all your money in taxes and you got a number that you want to sell it for, but that doesn't equate to what's on the books with the government, well, then you're going to have other issues, right? And there's all these things you have to look at. Well, the school district is a lot the same. You look at what we have, what we need to change, and Chad has said this emphatically on this station and in this channel. There's things that we just have to do. It's not a matter of we would like these things. It needs to be done, right? And so there's a big chunk of cash that's going to things that need to be done, no stop, right? There's going to be a 20% of our community that's going to say no matter what we do, no matter how reasonable we try to be, no matter how we try to package this bond to not hurt the taxpayer, because we do care about that. And anybody that knows me understands that. There's a ground here that we have to find the middle ground. And I worry that our team is going to be super cautious because we have two failed bonds in the past. And we're not going to try to find, we're going to be so cautious to do exactly what because some people cannot fail ever. And they're so risk averse that they're going to already start spinning up this narrative of fear. Instead of going, well, what's possible and where's the middle ground between the super fearful, we can't do anything or any risk, to the, hey, we want the Taj Mahal that we're not going to get and we shouldn't have. Where's the middle where we're both going, gosh, that hurts, but we understand, we've communicated that so well, where the majority, 75% or 70% of the community goes with us. So I'm looking for that 70% of people, because we're going to have 20% that push behind us no matter what. And we're going to have 20% that oppose us no matter what. We need to speak to everybody else, right, in that middle section and make sure that our message is heard to them, because I do believe if we're reasonable and rational, even the people that are on the vote no committees in the past are pretty rational people if you approach them the right way.
Well, if you take the last bond issue, the last bond issue,
there's some of our biggest supporters.
They came out and they said, hey, wait, okay, is this what we should be doing? And then after all the information was there and those people found out what we're actually doing, then it was an endorsement.
And I think everything in me tells me that group,
and that's why it passed,
helped us fix Santa Fe for the next 30 years.
Yes.
And so instead of bastardizing and creating a line between the two, again, I'm coming with peace offerings again to say, hey, I want to sit down. I want to hear the objections, because I have blind spots, and those people know me well enough to know that I'm pretty pliable, right? And we want to be reasonable, but I also want to ask them is, people, we're going to have to go a little bit further than what we want to make sure we get our needs met. We need the pool to be worked on. We need those rooms to be changed in the science hall. We don't have to do some of it, but there are needs in those areas that we have to do. And those are lots of millions of dollars. And we're going to have to try to figure out if we can have their endorsement. How far are they willing to stretch with us to continue to keep that endorsement to where it gets almost uncomfortable for both of us?
Yeah.
If we can find that ground and communicate well and get their endorsement, we're going to be at that 75%.
Yeah, it's compromise.
And I want to
100%.
figure that out. And that's the road I'm going down. So all these other side conversations and theater at the table, and because those meetings are really meant for us and media to communicate to our community, and for Carly to do what she does for us internally, and for the executive team to take instruction and give us feedback and because we have a rock star executive team right now.
Yeah, we do.
We just got to trust that they're going to be pushing the envelope for us, but I don't want them to play scared.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm starting. That's so flat out. I'm worried that our executive team internally is playing scared because our community is rough sometimes.
Once bitten, twice shy, and now we're twice bitten.
And I would really encourage, and I'm going to say this directly to you because you're sitting here,
Yep.
but every member of our Board of Education and our entire administrative team, you guys gotta wake up to the fact that you're not the only school district that's gone through this, and you're not the only school district right here that's gone through this within the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Mound Ridge had a heck of a time getting their bond issue, their most recent one. They had a heck of a time getting through that. Mm-hmm. They lost elections. Remington, Whitewater, same deal. It took them a few times to get where they needed to go. And here's why one of the reasons I bring that up. So much of what I hear is the same things that I was hearing from Mound Ridge and Remington. Enrollment issues, buildings that are reaching end of life issues. And that sounds scary. I mean, it really does. But we're not talking about a brick wall falling down. Unless maybe it's the, weight room wall at the high school. But we're not talking about buildings that are just going to fall down. We're talking about buildings that need new HVAC, new plumbing,
Roofing,
new roof, things that wear out.
And that's the
whether you like it or not.
And we can do a membrane for X amount, or we can do the whole roof for the next 30 years.
Right.
And the membrane, that may be a compromise we have to make given what the community is willing to support us on.
Right. And so, those are the things that these districts were dealing with. And they kept going to their voters, and their voters just kept saying no. Now, in the case of Mound Ridge, the superintendent they had at the time never took it personally. I know the guy, and he's an amazing man. Never took it personally, and what he did do is he started going to coffee downtown and asking the guys who voted against him, why? What do we got to do? What is it you need? And he spent a couple of years doing this. And then when they started up on their bond again, he had all that in his brain. And he's like, He didn't stop going to coffee. He kept going. And eventually they got a bond issue passed up there, and it included a new gym. You guys gotta dig into the Kansan archives and go back and look about what happened in Whitewater and what happened in Mound Ridge, because their most recent bond issues weren't rubber stamped. It wasn't, we're going to take a vote and move on.
Yeah.
It took a lot more than that.
Well, if you have been paying attention to anything that's happening on a regional level, it is becoming more difficult to pass bonds for specific low-hanging fruit reasons. And
Wichita just nixed even going.
Yeah.
Their committee said, no, We're not going to do that right now.
Yeah, because, well, in the political climate as such. Okay, so we are getting long in the tooth. So I thought you were going to serenade us, Sandy. Okay, so we are getting long in the tooth. Just final words, gentlemen. If you have anything that you want us to expound on, send us a message, and we'll talk more about it next week on the program, because we discussed some big topic issues that we're not going to be able to unpack in full today. But hopefully, through this conversation and communication, there's questions that you have yourself that you continue to ask, and be open-minded to an answer. So, final words, you guys?
Final word?
Yes.
Fireworks sales start this weekend, folks. You're not supposed to light them until, in Newton anyway, until the 1st. If you want to light them on 27, 28, and 29, I think, you can run up to Walton, I guess. I got the full rundown of all that stuff going in the paper again on Thursday, and I'll figure out a reason and a how to make sure it's in there on Saturday, and again on Tuesday, and again on the 4th. And I'm going to give you every opportunity.
How do you find out what days?
But it starts this weekend. And for those of you who love lighting off fireworks, have a great time. For those of you who hate us all, who like lighting off fireworks, just put your head down, get through it, and we'll all get through it together.
4th of July is coming. Looking forward to that, with time with family and friends, and probably won't be burning off too much cash. Business is slow right now, and we've got some goals. But I'm looking forward to spending time and eating dogs and burgers and having the kids in the pool with family and friends. So enjoy your 4th of July. Be careful out there. And as far as the school is concerned, as everybody knows, I'm stepping in again, and I really want to see this through. I'm going to be reaching out to the Vote No Committee. The leadership there, very reasonable people for the most part. There's some of them that will never go with us no matter what we do, and that's okay. And I still want to hear them. But I want to speak reason into those ones that are willing to speak and walk with us. We're going to have to stretch a little bit. And it's for the future. And there's other things going on behind the scenes right now, and conversations happen at the state level where Newton could be a pilot to do some amazing thing in the world of education moving forward. And so this is very real and possible. We have to manifest it, but we also have to take risks. Now, let's be plain when I say we have to assume some risk in the setting of a school system. This has nothing to do with business or spending bonuses like a Christmas story. This has to do with taking personal risk with your time and your energy and getting out there in front of people that may not like what you're going to say. It may be talking about Cooper in a way that's uncomfortable, and take some risk for the future of this district. It's not the kind of risk that somebody can put in a silly story when you're not really listening to what I'm saying. I mean, taking real risks, personal risk, inside risk, risking some of your friendships because of the bigger picture of what this community and what our kids need. That's the kind of risk I'm talking about. I'm willing to assume that risk for the future, and I don't want to put that on the next board. I want them to have other problems to deal with because we button down these issues that we have today in front of us right now. And it is hard out here. Our taxpayers are hurting. Our communities are hurting. And yes, we are coming with our hat in our hand saying, please invest in our future. If we get caught not doing that, if you think it's bad now, you stop paying attention to our youth and you see what happens 20 years down the road. They need us to step up and frankly nut up and get some stuff done. So it's a call to the community. It's got to get uncomfortable before we get better. But we should carry those backpacks and not put them on our kids. So that's the risk I'm talking about. Let's get it done.
And I just got to say, Andy, that was good. You had me. That was a good final word. No buts. My final word can kind of go with what you're saying. I mean, folks, we have got to learn as a community, okay, that what we're talking about in Halstead, what we're talking about going on with the school board, what we talk about at our city level, what we talk about, okay, we have got to afford people the ability to stand up and speak their case, and you give them the respect to listen. And then once that happens, communication can happen on both sides. and we come to reach a conclusion together as a community that's best for everybody. That is what we need to do. We can't just continue to do what I've seen happen so many times before, which is don't wait till the full story's out. Don't wait till all the information presents itself and jump to a conclusion that is a nearsighted conclusion. Have a good week, everybody.